to my channel Live and Dream Canada. My name is Winston D'Souza. I'm an international student with Lambton College, Toronto. Currently pursuing my business management and human resources and also working as a senior IT recruiter with TechStaff IT Solutions. The whole reason for making this video is basically to share my experience, how I got 4 job offers in the first 20 days of landing in Canada. And I thought this would also help a lot of people coming from different parts of the whole world on PR statuses, as international student, get jobs as well. Because I see a lot of people struggling to get jobs for even 4 months at a row in their own desired field, especially in HR. And hence I thought I should share my experience. So I would like to share my experience the first 20 days of how I went about with my job search, which helped me get 4 job offers. 1 as a recruiter, 2 from a financial institution, 3 from a tutoring company as a tutor aide, and 1 for a retail group company for a customer service executive. So let me start off with my experience for the first 2 weeks. So I landed in Toronto on 17th August 2021. I had 7 years of experience in HR before I actually came down, and I came mentally prepared that I'm not going to get a HR manager job here. I also prepared myself mentally, knowing that I might have to take 1-2 steps down, in my career path, start off as a recruiter maybe if required. So I was very clear when I came that I will be unemployed maybe for 2 or 3 months as well. And this mental preparation helped to a large extent. So a couple of things that I also did before coming was, a lot of preparation in creating my LinkedIn profile, because here in Canada, they use LinkedIn for all kind of recruitment. So I prepared my LinkedIn profile. I went about taking recommendations from everyone. They also use Indeed, Monster, and Facebook here for recruitment. So I created my profiles on those platforms as well. And I started applying for jobs. But I think the most important part was creating a Canadian style functional resume. And I think that plays a very important role. I'm again repeating, creating a functional resume plays an extremely important part. You might do everything, but if you're missing creating a good functional resume, it will go for a toss. So people who don't know what a functional resume is, there are 2 types of resumes. One is a hierarchical resume and a second is a functional resume. A functional resume is a simple 1-page resume which focuses on your skills by and large. So when I came down here, the first 5-6 days, I didn't use the new resume that I have, but I used my Indian format resume, which was a typical hierarchical resume, 3.5 pages, very elaborative, HR manager designation, managing teams, payroll, etc. Fully loaded. And the first 5-6 days, I didn't get a single call or an interview call or even a revert. In fact, most of the hiring managers turned down my application, saying that I was overqualified. So I used that as a learning experience and immediately switched to using the functional resume. Now, after using the functional resume, I was surprised that I started getting interview calls, and I was getting shortlisted at least, which was more important. After 5-6 interviews, I was kind of demotivated because I was unable to clear these interviews as well. And I realized there was a particular pattern in which interviews were happening. There was a particular pattern in which most of the hiring managers interviewed, and they used a lot of behavioral interview questions, which I wasn't prepared for. So I took time off, prepared myself well for the behavioral interview questions. I'm just sharing a snapshot of an Excel sheet that I made. This is the Excel sheet that I used, where I listed down possible questions that would come up during an interview. I also created a template of answers that I could give. Now this Excel sheet acted like a ready reckoner for me, so I could actually refer to this before I walked into any interview. So I had got my resume sorted out, I had got my pitch for the interview sorted out, and I think now I was ready to apply randomly. So every day after that, I think from the 6th or the 7th day onwards, I would start applying for at least 35-40 jobs on a daily basis. And I started getting a lot of interview calls back. I started clearing first round of interviews, second round of interviews, and at sometimes I would have a choice whether I would want to be interviewed or no, where I thought it was worth it or no. So to a large extent, this really helped. But what I think really played a very important role is, not using the same resume every time. Every time I would actually apply for a new job, I would customize my resume. I would customize my covering letter. At the end of the whole process of 15-20 days, I had 15 plus different variations of my own resume, which was surprising and funny at the same time. But that really helped. So, for example, if I was applying to a financial services company, I would customize my resume differently. If I was applying for a tutoring job, I would actually customize my resume differently. And I would recommend everybody to do the same. If you're using the same cover letter, the same resume for every job, trust me, it's not going to work. And another very important part is to understand how the application tracking system works in Canada, because unlike the other parts of the world, especially in India, we don't use the ATS so religiously or so diligently. However, here it's used to the core, to the T. So I would recommend everybody, before they start their whole job application process, understand how the ATS really works. Because if you're missing understanding how the ATS works, you could get this whole thing completely wrong. I will make a separate video on this as well, because it's a very elaborative topic. But please do understand how the application tracking system works. That will help you design your resume, customize your resume accordingly. So now once my resume was prepared, my cover letter was prepared, my interview pitch was ready, now I had to just go and actually start interviewing with people, and start applying for jobs. So, I would also recommend, don't get demotivated by rejection here, because you will get, rejections day in and day out. But try to avoid getting rejected, or, get into a shell and try to take up any survival jobs, because once you get into survival jobs, then it's extremely difficult to get back into mainstream HR or your desired field that you want to get into. So be a little patient, give yourself 15 days, 20 days time, but you need to get all these things right. Now, when I say all these things is right, I mean to say, when I say you need to get all these things right, I mean you need to get these 5 things right, which are very critical. Even if you miss doing one thing, you can get it terribly wrong. These things have worked for me, and I hope it works for everyone else as well. So the first thing that I recommend is creating your LinkedIn profile. Now, when I say create your LinkedIn profile, I mean to say, your a good image there, a good photo, your good description in your About Me section, recommendations from your seniors, from your peers will play an extremely important role, because every hiring manager will go and see your profile on LinkedIn before they actually, hire you. So it's extremely important you start this maybe at least 6 months in advance or 1 year before you come down to Canada, because it can't happen overnight. So start well in advance with your LinkedIn, profile being set up. 2 is the functional resume that I spoke of. I'm again, stressing on the fact, please create a good 1-pager functional resume. Ensure that 3/4 of the resume speaks about your skills. There's only 1/4 of the resume or that 1 page talks about the places that you worked. Try to tone down the language. You don't want to show that you're overqualified for the job, and hence, you need to tone down your resume depending on what kind of job you're applying for. The cover letter needs to be customized every time you're applying to a new job. I have failed using the same cover letter, for multiple jobs, and realized that and lost time. But, I would recommend that it plays a very, very important role, customizing that cover letter every time you're actually applying for a new job. The 4th thing is the application tracking system. For people who don't know about how it really works, please start studying about that. Please start studying how an application tracking system works, because that will play a very important role. If you miss this point, I'm repeating myself, but if you miss this point, you will miss the game. For people who are coming from outside, for people who are coming not as international students but as on permanent residencies, they would need to prepare on their certifications. 5th thing that I recommend is preparing for those behavioral situational questions. Trust me, every interview in Canada with every employee is going to be around situational behavioral questions. If you aren't prepared with situations, especially if you're coming with 5 to 7 years of experience, you're bound to fail those interviews. So please prepare well, for these interviews. Have 10 to 15 examples, situations ready so that you can answer those questions fearlessly during your interviews. After rejections in the first 5 6 days, I realized there was a particular pattern in which I was being interviewed by hiring managers, and I realized that a lot of hiring managers use behavioral questions, situational questions for their interviews. And if you are unable to answer those questions successfully, trust me, rejection is bound to happen. So I immediately took corrective action. I took out an Excel sheet, put down 15, 16 different situations there, created a whole method to answer those situations with relevant examples so that I could clear those interviews well. That worked for me. This is an Excel sheet that I created at that point of time, with assuming, different questions that would come up. I try to create, come out with examples in my own personal space. If you're coming to Canada or any part of Canada, and search for an HR professional job, not as an international student, please start your certifications well before you land. Example, in case you're looking out for a generalist role, start doing some research, start your application process for the CHRP or a CHRL or a CHRE course. Look at CHRM, which is a senior certified professional certification if you're looking for a generalist role. If you're coming here, with a clear perspective like I did, that I wanted to start off as a recruiter, please look at registered professional recruiter course, that's RPR. If you're looking at a payroll, role if you're targeting a payroll job, start inquiring about the payroll compliance practitioner, PCP certification, or the CPM, that is a certified payroll manager certification. If you're coming as a training and development guy, try to ensure that you are certified already on CTMP or RPT, that is registered professional trainer. So these things will play a very important role when you come to Canada and start applying for jobs. If your resume already has this, it will add to your chances of getting a job much more easy in your particular domain. So please keep watching my channel. I am going to be also coming out with more detailed videos on how to create a functional resume, how to understand what an application tracking system works, how to apply for jobs. So I'll be making much more detailed videos on those things. So I hope this little video has helped people who are in Canada to start preparing for their jobs. I also am hopeful that it helps people who are planning to come shortly in different parts of the world to come to Canada to get jobs as well. All the very best of luck, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.